Hello, everyone. On today's podcast episode, I'm going to talk about the end of the world. In the Bible, Revelations, it talks about the end of the world. And most people actually believe the end of the world is, an event that's, is going to happen sooner or later, right? People are waiting for the four horsemen to come issue the end of the world. But the truth is, the Bible is a book that simplifies, the complex world that we live in. Because it simplifies complexity, right? It makes things that are very complex simple for everyone to understand. Because of that, it's easier for many people to misunderstand many of the words in the Bible. For example, when the Bible says Jesus is the shepherd of men, or that Jesus is a shepherd, it doesn't mean, when the Bible says Jesus is a shepherd, it doesn't mean you take it literally. Jesus is not a shepherd of sheep, or he's not talking about real sheep. The Bible's not talking about real sheep. These are symbolic words. So when the Bible says the four horsemen will come, during Judgment Day, during judgment times, it's not talking about It's not talking about real horsemen. This is symbolic. Because the four horsemen, right? When the Bible says the four horsemen, it should let you know that, first of all, it's not talking about angels. The Bible is not talking about angels, right? So the four horsemen will not be angels. The four horsemen will not be who? The devil. Why? Because the devil is not a human being. The term horseman implies human. And before I even get started with horsemen, God gave us free will, right? Do you know what that means? It means Judgment Day. Judgment Day will only arrive based off our choices. This is why the four horsemen are four horsemen. Humans are the ones that are going to ride the horse that will bring about the doom of the world, not God. Don't blame God for Judgment Day. Stop looking for God for Judgment Day. God isn't the one that's going to issue the judgment. God isn't the one that's going to bring about the destruction of the world. Humans are. That's why it's the four horsemen that will bring about the destruction of the world. The four horsemen, humans. And what do these horsemen ride? They ride horses. The word horse is symbolic for death. It's symbolic for the ferry. You know what a ferry is, right? The underworld ferry that takes you into the underworld. When you die, the ferry grabs you and takes you to the underworld. That's what a horse symbolizes. The dark side of the moon is called a mare. Another word for horse is mare. The moon is symbolic of death. The moon symbolizes death. This is why, death and negativity. This is why, vampires and all the negative things in fairy tales and all these, books always happen at night when the moon's around. The moon has a negative connotation in the world. It's symbolic of death. And the sun is symbolic of life. Why? It's because the plants need sun to produce, oxygen. The sun is required by plants and all these things to, even our body requires the sun. The sun symbolizes life because that's what it brings to us. The sun brings life. And when the sun is not around, guess what? It's death. Plants need sun to live. We need plants to live. So without the sun, we die. So when the sun is not around, death comes. The moon comes. This is why the moon symbolizes death. And the moon and mare, if the moon is called mare, that should tell you what? The moon and horse are both symbolisms of death. When a person dies and is taken to the mortuary to be buried, what does he ride? What does he ride? He rides a horse or a hearse. A dead person rides a hearse to be taken to the grave. So a hearse is it's another word for a ferry. When the person dies, the hearse takes him down to the underworld to be buried. And when your voice starts to die, it starts to get croaky and die. Do you know what it's called? It's called a horse. When your voice starts to die, your voice starts to get hoarse. The word horse symbolizes death and decay. So the 4 horsemen are what? Are riding horses that symbolizes death and decay. Not physical horses, but symbolic horses. Let me give you an analogy real quick. Let me give you an example of what I mean, of what a horseman is. Humans, right? Humans are the way humans society work is that there are leaders and then there are followers. There's a government and then there's a people. We always have leaders and followers. Why? Because in a world where in this world it's easier to sin than it is to do good. It's easier to go to hell than it is to go to heaven in this world. It's easier to sin than it is to do good. In a world where most people are, it's easier for people to sin than it is to do good. Do you know what people need? They need a leader. They need a leader to guide them. This is why leaders are called the shepherds. The shepherds of humanity are leaders. And the people are called the sheep. The leader's job is to protect and help, guide the people. Put laws, rules, and regulations to make sure those who sin get punished, and those who do good get rewarded. That's the power of the government. The word government is government, control mind. It's there to control the people. It's there to govern our minds. The governments are the sheep. Are the shepherds, and the people that they lead are the sheep. Being a sheep is not a bad thing. Do not see it as a negative thing. If you don't want to be a sheep, right? Then you need to be shepherd of your own life. If you're not good at making good choices, if you only know how to make bad choices in life, you're only a sheep, and you need someone to lead you. If you're someone who's good at making choices in life, who knows how to lead their life in a good way that won't harm themselves and others, then you become the shepherd of your own life. If you can't manage your life properly, guess what? A good shepherd will manage your life for you. With the rules, and that's what a government's job is, to manage the lives of the people, to help their lives, to help them make better choices, to place down rules and regulations to make life easier for the people. That's the work of a shepherd. A bad shepherd, the place of the government is to be a good shepherd, right? But if the government can't be a good shepherd, do you know what the government becomes? It becomes a horseman. It becomes the horseman that'll lead his countrymen towards their death. That's the analogy of a horseman. A horseman will lead the country to its doom. If you don't have a good leader, the leader will lead your country you'll lead your group to its doom, to its own destruction. So you're either a shepherd or a horseman. If you're not, if you can't be a good shepherd, don't lead. Otherwise, you become a horseman, someone who brings death and destruction. And that's what the symbolism is in life, in the Bible. If we can't lead ourselves, if humanity can't lead itself, horsemen will come and bring destruction on the world. And the horsemen will be human beings. It won't be God. It will be human beings that will come and bring the destruction of the world. That's how, that's what the Bible is stating. When it says 4 horsemen will come and bring about destruction of the world, it's not talking about, angels coming down to bring the destruction of the world. It is human work, human hands. We will bring about the destruction of the world. We will use our horse to bring about the destruction of the world. Here's an example of a horse. Bitcoin, right? Do you know what a bit is? A bit is part of the harness of a horse. And it's used to control a horse, right? So Bitcoin, if you follow the analogy of life, Bitcoin is what? It's used to control the horse. And the horse that Bitcoin is used to control is the cryptocurrency market. It's cryptocurrencies. And you think I'm lying to you, but if you're someone who's been investing in cryptocurrency for a long time, you'll see the pattern there. When Bitcoin goes up, the cryptocurrency market goes up. When Bitcoin goes down, the cryptocurrency market goes down. The cryptocurrency market lives or dies by Bitcoin alone. Bitcoin is the head of the horse. Symbolizes the control mechanism that is used to control the cryptocurrency market. And since the cryptocurrency market, if Bitcoin is used to control a horse, right, which is the cryptocurrency market, it means the cryptocurrency market is the horse. That's a bad analogy. That's a bad symbol. That's bad symbolism. It tells you what? That cryptocurrencies aren't that beneficial. If we can't control cryptocurrencies, if the government can't have control over the cryptocurrencies and become good shepherds of cryptocurrencies, guess what? The cryptocurrencies will be the horse that will bring about the destruction of the world. Let me give you an example of how bad cryptocurrencies are if they're not controlled. And right now they're not as regulated as we want it to be. One, there are a lot of scams. The whole cryptocurrency space is filled with scams. You don't want most of your countrymen being scammed by cryptocurrencies. And the whole cryptocurrency space is filled with scams. All of it. There's very few coins that are actually very good. There are very few cryptocurrencies that aren't, that are actually legit. Most of them are either scams that have already been found, or scams that are, ongoing scams that are happening right now. We haven't found out they're scams yet, so we still think they're good coins, they're good cryptocurrency projects. But the truth is, sooner or later, you end up finding out that these things are scams. They're short-term scams and long-term scams. And the entire cryptocurrency market is filled with scams. That's bad symbolism for you. A horse is not a good, is not a good thing when it comes to symbolism. And the fact that Bitcoin is the one that's, that controls the cryptocurrency market tells you that symbolically Bitcoin controls the horse. And what Bitcoin controls, if you're someone who've been in the cryptocurrency space for a long time, you know that when Bitcoin goes up, the cryptocurrency market goes up. If you can control Bitcoins and its price movement, you can control the entire cryptocurrency market. Bitcoin controls the whole cryptocurrency market right now, just like its name implies. And here's another problem with cryptocurrency. You can use it to fund terrorists. You can use it to fund militia groups. You can use cryptocurrencies to fund militia groups, terrorists, and all the criminal gangs and cartels in the world without any government supervision whatsoever. That's how powerful cryptocurrencies are when it comes to destroying the world. You don't want terrorist groups building nuclear weapons. And if the cryptocurrency market keeps going up and more money is pumped into it, it's only a matter of time before these terrorist groups become billionaires or multi-billionaires. And they have enough money. You'll get to a point where they have enough money, right? These scammers and criminals that use cryptocurrencies, because it's not as regulated by the government, it's not as regulated by the shepherds of of humanity. When cryptocurrencies are not regulated by the shepherds of humanity, it becomes a horse that will destroy the world. These terrorist groups will use, cryptocurrencies to buy nuclear weapons. I bet you there are countries right now that have nuclear weapons that'll be willing to sell it to terrorist group for the right price. For the right price, without the slightest care in the world that these terrorist groups will use it to blow the world up. They don't care. And many terrorist groups have the mindset of, they have the mindset of destroying the world in order to create some sort of like a reset. Many terrorists want to reset the world. They don't like the way things are. They want to blow the world up and reset it. And if the government does not control Bitcoin, if the good shepherds of our lives, the government does not have any control over Bitcoin, right? Guess what? Cryptocurrencies, the horse that Bitcoin controls, could bring about the death of the world. Because criminals will have more money than you can possibly imagine. Money could be, there are many unregulated cryptocurrencies out there. There are many ways you can send money to friends, family members without the government having any clue that you sent your money out there. You can be a multi-billionaire, in cryptocurrencies, and the government will never find out. You can send money to any place on the planet without the government ever finding out. That means someone here, a billionaire here, could just be sending money all the way to a terrorist group in a different country. Somewhere in Sudan. Some places have no government control whatsoever. Some places in Africa have no government control whatsoever. It's a perfect place to build a nuclear weapon. Perfect place to build a nuclear weapon. To build real, military weapons. So, these are one of the things you have to be careful of. The other thing you have to be careful of is the moon itself. The moon is called a mare, means it's a horse. And, scientists have already shown that the moon itself, right, regulates the currents of the world. And not only does it regulate the currents, it also regulates, I've read an article where it talks about the fact that humans are mostly water. Our body's mostly water. So, the moon's waxing and, the moon's rotation around the earth is actually also affecting our bodies in ways we don't know, in multiple ways than, we can possibly imagine. So the moon has a lot of power over our body, right? But that's not the point. There's a reason why the moon is symbolic of death. The biggest reason why the moon is symbolic of death, other than, the fact that night isn't around, is that all it takes is a crazy lunatic, right, to build a powerful enough nuclear weapon and aiming at the moon at the perfect angle, and the moon could come crashing down to Earth. The moon, the god of death, the moon, in mythology, the moon is symbolic of the god of death. When if you push the moon with enough force, it could come crashing down to Earth. And when the moon comes crashing down to Earth, it'll be far worse than the dinosaurs. The thing that killed the dinosaurs was an asteroid, right? When the moon comes crashing down to Earth, something worse than asteroids, will destroy the Earth. So this is why the moon is called, the god of death, because that little moon right there has enough power to wipe out most of life here on Earth. It just requires the right lunatic, to build a sophisticated weapon that's powerful enough to push the moon towards our Earth. So what I'm saying is not to make you, fear that things are bad things will happen. But I'm saying this just to let you know that there are many ways for the world to be destroyed. And God is not the one that's going to destroy it. Stop waiting for God to destroy it. Start looking around. If humans don't destroy the earth, if humans don't destroy the world that we live in, the world will not be destroyed. We are the ones who get to say when the world is destroyed or not. This is why the 4 horsemen that will bring about the destructions are horsemen. They're human beings, just like you and me. We are the ones that are going to destroy the world with our own 2 hands. We are the horsemen that will bring about our own destruction. And the reason why, the world hasn't been destroyed yet is because we have free will to choose when the world will be destroyed or not. We are the ones who decide when the world is destroyed. If we can't govern ourselves and we let corrupt leaders govern us, right? They'll become the horsemen that will destroy us. If a leader is good, he's known as a good shepherd. If the leader is corrupt and evil, he becomes a horseman that will destroy your country. And if the country is large enough and powerful enough, the country could destroy the world with enough nuclear weapons. The horsemen will bring up, we use nuclear weapons on the horse to destroy the world, to ferry us into the underworld. That's what, the Bible states. If we can't control ourselves, we will become the horsemen that will bring about our own doom in life, not God. And as long as we can control ourselves, the world will never be destroyed. We are the ones that are going to destroy the world with our own 2 hands. Do not look for God to destroy the world, because it's not going to happen. We are the ones that's going to destroy the world. So we have to be careful of, corrupt politicians, corrupt leaders, evil leaders, terrorist groups, and, all these militia groups that, these rogue militia groups. Not all of them are terrorists. Some of them are, are just regular rogue military groups. They just want to take over, your country, like private armies and all that. There are many different types of military groups in the world. Some are under the control of the government. Some are under the control of private entities. And then some are just, plain old terrorists. They're just there to just, kill everyone. And you have to be careful. If terrorists have too much power, and they have too much power, and they use that power to to acquire nuclear weapons, or something even more powerful than a nuclear weapon, guess what? They become the horsemen that will bring about the end of our world. That will bring about the end of Earth. So don't look at the revelation as something that God will just start whenever He wants. Look at it as something that's man-made. We are the horsemen. We are the horsemen that will bring about our own doom. We are the ones you need to be careful of. Humans are the ones you need to be careful of. If we can't govern ourselves, something bad will happen. And it's on us to decide who gets to lead our country, who gets to lead our world or not. If we sheep don't decide who the right leader is, we'll end up picking a horseman. We don't want a horseman to lead us. We want a human being to lead us. We want a good shepherd to lead us. We want someone who has our best interests at heart to lead us, not an evil villain. So that's it for today's podcast episode. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.